Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Melleby. I am the author of Hurricane Season and the upcoming In the Role of Bree Hutchins. I'd like to first thank the Gaithersburg Children's Festival for hosting me today. I'm really excited to be talking to you guys. And I just want to have a quick disclaimer that my cat may appear at any time because, like most cats, this is her world and we're just living in it. So she does as she pleases. But I want to talk to you guys today about my books, but mostly about writing about identity. I'm going to talk a bit about the different identities that I write about with my characters within these books, talk a bit about identity in general, and then hopefully give you guys a prompt to have you start writing about identity yourselves. Now's the point where if I was in person giving this presentation, someone a lot more tech savvy than me would pull up my slides on a PowerPoint. I'm going to attempt to share my screen, so bear with me for one moment. All right. So like I said, I am the author of Hurricane Season and In the Role of Bree Hutchins. Hurricane Season is about a girl, Fig, who lives with her dad, her single dad, and they are struggling in the face of his undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which is a mental illness that kind of has her dad acting a little erratic. He has good and bad days. Sometimes he's, really excitable and a little, they call it manic, and sometimes he's really, really depressed and she can't even get him out of bed. So Fig, trying to understand her dad, who used to be a very good musician, she takes an art class to try and kind of understand who he is through art. And then In the Role of Bree Hutchins, which comes out next month, Bree is a Catholic school student. She's obsessed with soap operas. She wants to be an actress. And she has an already complicated relationship with her mom that's made even more complicated in the face of Bree's first crush on another girl in her class. And what both these books have in common is both Fig and Bree, throughout their own stories, are trying to kind of come into understanding their own identities. Bree, like I said, has a crush on another girl in her class, and Fig has a crush on and the older girl who works at the library. And it is, the first major crushes for both of them. So they kind of go through their books, coming to terms with and understanding what that means for them as individuals. So I'm going to read a couple of passages, one from Hurricane Season and one from Bree Hutchins, that it's these big moments for these characters about their identity. For Hurricane Season, this is a conversation between Fig and her dad when she kind of admits to him about her crush on the girl who works at the library. So you like girls then? I like Hannah, Fig said. I don't know the rest. He nodded. Okay, and what exactly do you like about this Hannah? Dad, I'm just trying to follow. Well, what did you like about my mom? She asked. She was drop-dead gorgeous in a dress, for starters. It was the most he had ever said about her mom, other than her leaving, and it was simple and sort of silly, but somehow it gave Fig the courage to say more. I really like Hannah's smile. Then I bet, he said, sliding an arm around her shoulders. She has a very lovely smile. Fig leaned into his brace. So, okay, she asked again. He kissed the top of her head. More than okay. So in that scene, you kind of witness Fig admit out loud her feelings to this girl, to the most important person in her life. And, when her dad asks, so you like girls, this means that you like girls. Fig isn't 100% sure that that's the case. She just knows that she likes Hannah. So that is her still kind of sorting out what her identity means to her. And then in my second book, Bree Hutchins, this is a scene between Bree and her best friend, Parker. They are, they go to a Catholic school, so they're in church, and Bree turns around and has this conversation with Parker. So without thinking, she leans back to whisper to Parker, do you ever just really like the way another girl's face looks? Parker's entire face scrunched up. What? Bree took that as a no and slumped back in the pew. Parker noticed boys. Parker always noticed boys. She noticed Jack Thomas's birthmark and Javi Martinez's rolled shirt sleeves and Sean Frankel's funny, but cute, according to Parker, snaggletooth. Parker did not notice the way Kennedy always had a loose and dangling strand of hair falling over her face, or the 3 freckles that dotted her nose. I'm going to stop sharing the screen a minute just to tell you a quick funny story about this scene. This is actually a scene that I wrote based on an actual conversation that I had when I was a little younger than Bree. Bree's in 8th grade, but I remember very vividly being in, I think it was my 5th grade science class, and they had us, I don't know what project we were working on, but we were all scattered on the rug, cutting out pictures from magazines. We were making some sort of collage. I really don't remember why. We were lying on the floor, cutting out these pictures, flipping through these magazines, looking at all these pictures of these different celebrities and models and whatnot. And I turned to my friend Kristen Erickson and said, do you ever just really, really like the way another girl's face looks? And Kristen did not have any idea what I was talking about. And it took me a really long time after that to realize that what I was talking about was, attraction, later part of, who I am, part of my identity. So, Bree understands a lot more about her identity than I did, but, she's still struggling to find the words to have those conversations with her best friend. So I'm going to share the screen again, just to kind of show you guys a couple more books about different identities. I have one for, all these letters of the LGBTQA acronym here. And there are many more, but these are some of my personal favorites. So Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. King and the Dragonflies by Kaysen Callender. What I love about King and the Dragonflies is that it deals with intersectionality. So you have, this boy who is, a black boy, but he's also gay. So he's kind of going through finding a place for both of those identities in his life. Then Star-Crossed by Barbara D. The main character is coming to terms with her bisexuality. Zenobia July by Lisa Bunker is about a trans girl, so her identity is tied to her gender. And the same with Anna on the Edge. I have that as Q, but Anna is a non-binary figure skater. And so with Anna, they're trying to kind of find their place as a non-binary individual in this, super binary sport. And then Hazel's Theory of Evolution has a main character who is kind of coming to terms with her asexuality. So here's some, a bunch of examples of other books that deal with different identities. My challenge to you now is to write a situation where a fictional character may have to question their identity. So think about what that means and what that means to you. What does identity mean to you, first of all? So, who am I? What is personal identity? Personal identity is what you decide about who you are. It grows and changes over the course of your life. It can include aspects of your life that you have no control over, such as where you grew up, your sexuality and gender, or the color of your skin. So, for me, I grew up in New Jersey. I still live in New Jersey. I am a lesbian. I am, white. These are things that are part of my identity. They are who I am. They're things that I had at least no control over. And then it can also include choices that you make in your life, such as how you spend your time and what you believe. So, if you are someone who plays, really intense video games and you consider yourself a gamer, that can be part of your identity. What you believe, if you're, Catholic, if you're, Jewish, if you're any of those faiths that you were raised as, what you believe is part of your identity as well. So you decide what parts of your personal identity that you show to your world through what you wear, how you interact with other people. You might also sometimes keep parts of your personal identity to yourself, even when parts of yourself are very important. And that's totally okay and totally valid. You decide everything about your identity. Other people do not get to decide your identity. So you decide what it is, you decide how much of that identity you're comfortable sharing, and what parts you are not, and it's all valid. So I want you to, again, write a situation where a fictional character may have to question their identity. And whatever identity you choose to explore within your character is totally up to you. It could be a more personal story, like I told you how the scene in Bree Hutchins was a scene that happened, in my life. Or it could be something that, is completely fictional. It doesn't even have to be a contemporary story. It could be fantasy. It can be science fiction, however you want to explore this question. But to make it a little more fun, I'm going to include some very specific prompts. So your story must include at least one other character in the scene, a really bad rainstorm, just because I say so, the color green, because it's my favorite color and I'm in charge of these prompts, and the sentence, "Raisins are disgusting," because they are. So you have to just, give me a scene, it doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be super intense or anything like that. And I would love to, see these scenes. So if you're comfortable and you have your parents' permission, I have a contact form on my website, www.nicolemelleby.com, and please send them to me. And you can also find me on Twitter at Lady Nico. There. So I would love to see what you guys come up with. And I hope that, you're really thinking about these identities within your characters, even if your characters, aren't identifying as queer, or, what does identity still mean to your character, or your secondary characters, your antagonist, your bad guys. Everyone has some sort of identity that they relate to or that drives them. And I'd love to hear what you guys come up with. So thank you for spending some time with me today. Again, thanks to the Gaithersburg Children's Festival for hosting me, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So, bye.